Welcome to the Concussion Fix podcast, where we lift the veil on concussion recovery and empower you with real answers to real questions about persistent concussion symptoms.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Concussion Fix podcast. I'm Nikki and I'm joined with Melinda and Dr. Marshall, and we just finished a Q&A that had a really great question of a member who just felt like they just couldn't do anything. Just kind of felt stuck, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and weren't really sure what to reach for in their toolbox. So we thought this would be a really great time to kind of go over when we do feel a lot of anxiety, when we kind of have that stuck feeling, what can we do in the moment that are some practical tools for us? And so Melinda, this is your wheelhouse. So I would love to turn it over to you and hear what you have to think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember this member. I mean, we all felt for this member, just really feeling that their symptoms were so high that they just felt completely shut down, like unable to access any of the resources and, practices that they normally would in order to support themselves. And that happens, right? Sometimes our nervous system can get so activated when we're highly symptomatic with PCS that we can actually just shut down. So that's actually a parasympathetic nervous system response. It's like a deep freeze, feeling numb, feeling completely shut down. And in that moment, things are like actually a little bit different. We actually want to bring energy into the body. So in this case, the member we were talking to, I was encouraging her to try really basic practices, even if, she was kind of curled up in bed or just felt like she couldn't do anything. The things I was mentioning were things like, can you just hum, right? Humming activates our vagus nerve. When we can activate our vagus nerve, it helps regulate our nervous system. We talked about just sitting up in bed, and when you are very symptomatic and in a deep sort of shutdown response, feeling really numb and turned off, we actually want to bring energy into the body. So instead of like, let's do soothing breaths, I invited her to like put her hands in cold water. Or one I didn't mention is sort of like play a song that brings joy. We were looking to bring energy into the body to bump us back into our window of tolerance, or this place where we feel safe and regulated, which is known as the window of tolerance based on the polyvagal theory, which we talk extensively about in the program, and such a wonderful model for regulation. So today we thought the podcast could be really neat to sort of use Nikki and Dr. Cam as our participants and
Guinea pigs.
try out. Yeah, you're our guinea pigs. I should try out a couple of these practices. I'm thinking more in the sense of if we're feeling high arousal, which means we're more restless, anxious, overwhelmed, racing thoughts. What can we do to balance our nervous system and bring ourselves down to a place of balance and regulation? We'll try a couple exercises that way. And with Cam and Nikki, we'll kind of get them to rate, hey, where are you at today on a scale from 1 to 10? We use this scale throughout the program that allows us to note our distress. So even just bringing awareness to our level of distress in the moment can be so helpful to start distancing yourself from what your experience is. Sometimes we can get so caught up in our own experience of overwhelm, anxiety, stress, that it can be hard even to take a step back and figure out, wait, I'm overwhelmed. Even just noticing that state of overwhelm can create some distance from the experience and bring us down a little bit back into regulation. So I think what we could do here is take this scale. So 1 would be rating very low on a distress scale. You feel normal, you feel regulated, maybe there's joy there, you're kind of feeling clear-minded. Whereas 10 would be the highest level of distress you can imagine, right? Panic, overwhelm, it could also be shut down, numb. So maybe I'll get the two of you to share with us today. Maybe there's been some stress in the morning or the heat outside, which has been tremendous here in Ontario the last week or so. And just kind of giving us a rating where you're feeling today. And then we'll start based on how you're feeling. Nikki, go ahead, maybe.
Yeah, I'd probably say I'm at a five
Okay.
between few things, not working technology and a big trip coming up and thinking of all the small little details that I need to do all of a sudden that are piling up quickly. I put myself at about a five.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm having a really anxious day, guys. I'm at like an 8.
Okay. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
feel like there's just so much going on. We got a new baby. We're leaving to the cottage this week. I'm trying to get a million things done, and I feel like I can't get a good breath.
Yeah. I get that too. When anxiety sets in, it's like you can almost start to notice that sense of not being able to catch your breath at the
Yeah.
top. And I don't know about you, Cam, but I get like tightness in my chest and just kind of like a bit of panic if I'm at an 8.
Yeah, I'm feeling like jittery almost. Like I'm like
Yeah.
I have to like go pace or something.
Yes.
So
Okay.
this is
Well, let's
this is
work with what's
perfect.
here. Yeah, let's work with what's here
Bring
today.
me down, Melinda. Bring me down.
Well, and it's just so great to normalize it too, right? We all get this way. It's not just when you're living with PCS, but life stuff, stress, intense weather patterns. There's all sorts of things that can create a lot of anxiety. So both of you are sort of indicating maybe you're feeling on that higher end, which is more restless, anxious, overwhelmed, lots of busy thoughts. So that's what we call hyperarousal in this window of tolerance model. So, what I can do is sort of present and we'll run through some experiential practices together to see if we can bring that level down so you're feeling more regulated and back in that window. What's coming to mind right now is we can do some grounding into the feet, palm presses, which help us to kind of remind ourselves where our body is in space. The second thing maybe I'll bring in then is box breathing, which helps us almost force our body to come back into regulation when we're feeling on that hyper arousal side of the spectrum. And then maybe I'll throw in a bonus one at the end and see how we're doing. So, why don't we start with some grounding presses? And so, all we need to do for that is make sure our legs are uncrossed. I always invite everyone to adopt a posture for practice. And so that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be meditating, but we want to uncross our legs, find our feet planted firmly against the ground, hands resting gently in your lap, and straight spine. So you can kind of think of a string like pulling at the top of your head just to kind of help you sit up properly. And that really helps to create an optimal environment and posture to receive a grounding practice. So, what we're going to do next is if it's feeling safe, you can close your eyes. You're also more than able to just leave your eyes open and soften your gaze towards something unmoving in front of you. And all we're going to do is just start with the breath. Now, if you're finding the breath is particularly activating today, Cam, you mentioned it almost feels difficult to get a breath. You can actually anchor yourself right into your feet instead of the breath. So, what I mean by that is as Nikki and I are breathing, you can focus your awareness to the sensation of your feet planted firmly against the ground. Okay. And so I'll say
Do I try to push them into the ground or I just hold them on the ground?
not yet. All you're going to do right now is see if you can, in your mind's eye, feel your feet planted against the ground, but not pressing down. So just bringing awareness to where your feet are meeting the surface of the ground below you. We're just going to stay here for a couple breath cycles. So as you're breathing in, just know that you're breathing in. As you're breathing out, just know that you're breathing out. Just give ourselves 2 or 3 breaths to sort of find awareness of our body. So, really just settling in. And now, seeing if you can bring your full awareness to the sensation of your feet planted against the ground. We're still breathing, but our focus of attention is going down into the feet. Maybe you can make contact with the heel against the ground, just noticing where your heel makes contact with the ground below you. The ball of your foot and each toe. So your only focus of attention right now is to feel your feet against the ground. If you find your mind is busy, just noting that in a really non-judgmental way and bringing your awareness right back to your feet, planted firmly against the ground. That's our only job right now, is to feel into our feet, noticing how the ground is connected to our heels, the outsides of our feet, the ball of our feet, and each toe. And we don't want to forget about the breath just because we're focusing on anchoring our feet. So remembering to breathe as you go. Okay. On your next out breath, I want to invite you to press your feet into the ground. So that's going to activate your thighs, your glutes, and then release. So breathing in, and on the out breath, pressing your feet into the ground. It might kind of prop your body up a little bit, pushing you out of the chair, feeling your thighs, your glutes activating, and then relaxing. Breath in, and on the out breath, pressing firmly into the ground, and release. Doing a nice in breath and out breath in between each press. So we're not rushing. We're not trying to speed through this. We're just being here right now with this practice. So on your next out breath, pressing firmly into the ground, feeling both those feet planted, and then relaxing on the out breath. Doing that a few more times in your mind's eye. Quietly pressing into your feet and releasing. Next, I'd like you to place your palms together, elbows up, sort of at a 90-degree angle. And on the in-breath this time, we're going to press our palms together. And on the out-breath, just relaxing your arms and your hands, kind of letting yourself sink into the chair. And then sitting back up for in-breath, press your palms, sitting up tall. And on the out-breath, relaxing your body and your palms. In-breath, press. Out-breath, relax. In-breath, press. Out-breath, relax. In-breath, press. Out-breath, relax. In-breath, pressing firmly, but gently, not straining in any way. And relaxing on the out-breath. So doing that quietly for 2 more breath cycles. And then on your next in-breath, I want to invite you to do both palms and feet. So pressing palms and feet. And then relax on the out-breath. You can keep your eyes open for this too if it feels more regulating for you. Sometimes if we're in like a heightened, anxious state, it can be helpful to focus on something unmoving in front of you. Great. So on that in-breath, we're pressing our palms and our feet at the same time, really activating the body a little bit here. And next, in-breath, doing the same. Breathing out and just letting everything go. Just dropping your hands into your lap, maybe shaking out your feet. Letting out a sigh. And just noticing any shifts here. I'll invite both of you to sort of throw out a number on that distress scale again. 1 being quite low, feeling regulated and calm. 10 being quite high, feeling distressed, overwhelmed, highly anxious, maybe even a bit panicked. Can also be low and shut off. So maybe just throwing out a number before we move into our next
Uh,
act.
I went down to a 3 and then I heard my tweens bickering because it's summer break, went up to a 4 and then came back down to a 3.
Okay. How about you, Cam? You started high, so how are you feeling?
Um, maybe a little lower, maybe like a
Okay.
7.
Okay.
Still pretty kind of jittery and
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense if you're starting out at a higher number. So let's move into box breathing. So in box breathing, we're really looking at regulating the breath. So it's helpful to actually paint a square as we're going through this exercise. So on the in-breath, we're counting for 4. That's the left side of our square, holding your breath at the top for 4, breathing out for 4, and holding your breath for 4. So when you're ready, you can join me. Breathing in for
you
4.
want us to trace it or should we just do it in
Yeah,
our
I
mind?
want you to trace it as well. Hold your breath at the top. That's it. Breathing out for 4, and hold your breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4. So keep counting. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. Just counting in your mind's eye now. Breathe in, hold, Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Quietly in your mind's eye for 2 breath cycles. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Hold. Breathing out. Hold. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Hold. And I can drop your hand into your lap and just your breath. In for 4. Hold. Out. Hold. Now, given if both of you are experienced with breath, you can extend that to 5 if that feels better, or bring it down to 3 if you're feeling really anxious. So let's do 2 more. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. And hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Okay. Letting out a sigh. And let's just check in here on box breathing. How would you rate sort of your level of activation in your nervous system right now on that same scale?
That one helped a lot more for me. So I'm probably down to where Nikki started, 5.
Okay. How about you, Nikki?
I'm good. I'm at like a 2-3, probably closer to a 2. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're bringing attention back to the present. We're letting all the stuff up here just kind of be somewhere else for a moment. You're giving yourself permission to put all that away, to put all that down, and then bringing your attention fully back to an anchor of your choice, the breath, the feet against the ground. Cam, do we need to do one more and see if we can get you a little bit further down?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Before we jump into that, does it matter how we're breathing? Is it better to breathe through the nose, out through the mouth, or in and out through the nose? Does that make a difference?
It does. I think when you're doing a quick grounding, we just go with it. But if we're looking to practice it regularly, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth is most helpful when it comes to being in that hyper arousal, like more anxious, restless, jittery. So in through the nose, out through the mouth.
Perfect.
If I notice people are just breathing in through the mouth, out through the mouth, let's not do that. But in through the nose, out through the nose is also okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Cam, what are you feeling? Do you feel like you need to move still?
Not as much, but just a
Okay.
little bit. Mm.
Yeah. All right. I'm thinking about the 3-minute breathing space, which is a really powerful practice for bringing grounding sort of instantly into the body. And what we're doing is more actively naming what's happening in our thoughts, in our emotions, and our body sensations. Then we're bringing our focal point to our breath, and then we're bringing expanding our focal point out to the whole body breathing. So this gives us a chance, not just like a quick grounding like we just did, but it gives us a chance to understand what's happening in our body that's leading to maybe a more anxious state or a hyperarousal sort of nervous system state. So for this practice, we're just going to practice that posture again, feet uncrossed. Just kind of settling in for a moment. You can close your eyes or just leave them, um, softening your gaze, looking at something in front of you that's unmoving. Start with a few breaths, just quietly letting things settle in your mind's eye. Okay, and now bringing to mind any thoughts that are floating through your mind right now, right? Not getting caught up in them, but just naming them. You could label them thinking, or you could just hear them being listed off in your mind's eye. Just thinking and bringing awareness to your thoughts. It could be quite busy, or maybe it's settled a little bit because of our 2 other grounding exercises we did, but non-judgmentally noticing thoughts. And then you could bring awareness to any emotions that might be there attached to those thoughts. Frustration, worry, fear, sadness, neutral feelings. Just naming them, not getting caught up in them, just non-judgmentally naming any emotions that might be attached to your thoughts. And now seeing if you can investigate any body sensations that might be coming up related to those thoughts, related to those emotions. Could be a tightening in your chest, or trouble breathing, or getting an in-breath. Could be tingling, tightness in your neck or shoulders. Whatever it is, just noticing body sensations. Non-judgmentally and just with awareness. And on your next out breath, drawing your awareness deep into your lower abdomen and focusing on the breath. The breath, breathing in and out in your lower abdomen. You can place your hand there if that's helpful. Narrowing your focus and bringing each breath down through the body into your lower abdomen. Contracting on the exhale, expanding the lower abdomen on an inhale. Expanding and contracting. Breathing into the lower abdomen, breathing out and contracting on the out breath. Narrowing that focal point just to the breath coming into the lower abdomen. And contracting on the out breath. After your next out breath, bringing your awareness now to the body as a whole breathing, including your body as a whole breathing in and breathing out. Perhaps resting your hands on your lap. Whole body breathing in, whole body breathing out. In and out. Whole body expanding on the in breath, releasing on the out breath. Breath in and expanding the body as a whole. Breath out and releasing. Whole body relaxing. Breathe in. Breathe out. And on the next out breath, releasing the practice. Bringing your awareness back to the room around you. Fluttering your eyes open when you're ready. Letting out a sigh, if that's helpful. And with this practice, we'll take a couple minutes to just explore what we noticed as you move through it when you're feeling ready.
I feel tired now.
Because I feel like zoned in and I just want to like curl up on a couch and be like a cat and just enjoy heat and being lazy.
Mm. Yeah, so that one really kind of brought down the energy. Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, just much more relaxed.
Mm.
Like I'm just melting into my chair right now.
Mm.
But I think that often happens too when you've had like this like dysregulated state, right? Like if I like I'm at an 8, that's really taxing on your system. And when you bring it back down, your body just like goes into like, okay, now you're just crash. And I've had panic attacks before, and when I do that, it's like I pass out for like 2 hours. Like I just have to like hit the couch and just go.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually, we were talking about the window of tolerance. If you're up here feeling panicked, anxious, but then you get too activated or too relaxed, you can actually go down and be dysregulated on the other side.
Mhm.
That hypoarousal, that numb shutdown. So it's can be so interesting to just use these practices as an opportunity to figure out how you get back inside your window. So we don't want to go from high all the way down into hypoarousal, especially if you have stuff to do, right? So
Mhm.
Cam, I might invite you to kind of like, you know, put your fingers together, maybe get some energy in your body. You might kind of
Like I
just
need to go
up
for a
and down
walk.
a few times after, go for a
Like
nice walk.
I feel like right now a walk would be the thing for me to do.
Mhm.
Perfect. Find your way back into
Or do
regulation.
some push-ups.
Yeah, you can do some push-ups. We don't want to get too activated, right? It's kind of this fine balance, but it's also helpful to know which practices support you in the way you need in that moment, right? So maybe the 3-minute breathing space after doing two others is really kind of like too relaxing for whatever you need to do next. But you said, Cam, hey, box breathing was really helpful, right? So that might be a quick, accessible tool if you're at an 8 and you've got a meeting coming up next or you have to do something. Let me
Well,
do 3 minutes
that like
box breathing.
that brought me down into like a 3, like, with that combination there. So like from an 8 to a 3, like that's
That's huge.
pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It shows how powerful these practices are, right? Like our
Yeah.
mind can kind of take off with everything we need to do, all the stuff that, is building up. And if we just take a moment to like shelf that, work with the body, bring your awareness back inside the body, find the breath, find the surfaces that are supporting you. We could work through thoughts, emotions, body sensations, like in the last practice. Okay, here I am. It doesn't mean I can't still get up and go do all the things I need to do, but now hopefully I can do it from a regulated place instead of a dysregulated place.
Yeah, I was just talking to my wife. I feel like we're both like we need to get back into meditation. We were in it
Hmm.
for a while and it was so helpful, but now it's like I feel like whenever I'm in this type of state where it's like, okay, I got a million things going on and eventually I hit this like overwhelm, like on the borderline of panic state, is
Hmm.
when I'm like, all right, now it's time to try and meditate. And it's like it's so hard to bring yourself into like that state, whereas if you're doing it regularly, it's like you don't even get to that point, it's like it just doesn't happen the same.
Well, and it's not always advised to jump into meditation when you're really high on the distress scale because you can't find
Yeah,
that groundedness, but movement meditation can be helpful,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Finding a patch of grass in your backyard. I know you've got that nice patch of grass by your shed. You could kind of
I've been
walk,
working on that.
find 12 steps, really is all that's needed. 12 steps forward, 12 steps back, and do that for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Really feel your feet into the ground, one step at a time. Maybe do a few rounds of box breathing. That could be more helpful than trying to bring yourself into, a seated posture meditation practice if you're highly activated. It's not always recommended because, yeah, how do you access that if you have that much energy in your body?
Mhm.
I
I was
think I was
going to
sharing
say,
with you guys, I just came off of a 6-day silent meditation retreat. I just came back on Monday. And it takes 4 days to get to a place where you've left behind everything. So for day 4, day 5, you're like, wow, like this, I'm like locked in. Everything is feeling, you're so in your body, you're with your breath. It's also lots of difficulties can come up emotionally. You're sort of thinking about things that are going on in your life and you actually have time to process them. But it takes time to come into a meditative state, is my point, sharing that. We
Mhm.
can't expect ourselves to be like so dysregulated and then like be able to sit for 20 minutes. We get that question all the time in the Concussion Fix program, but that's not always advised, right? Try somatics, try walking meditation, do something like a grounding exercise. These things can be really helpful to regulate us in the moment without adding pressure to like sit meditate, right? That may not be where you're at in that moment.
That's crazy. I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
I go every year, keeps my mindfulness practitioner status active. Um, it's great. It's not for everyone, right? I mean, you have to feel supported in your meditation community or whoever you'd be going on retreat with, as well as be practicing leading up. I actually had my own freeze response before I left, where I had for a month before I turn off all my social media. I stop watching TV. I meditate every day. And 2 weeks before, I was like panicking, like, ah! So I went like full escapism, like started watching binge watching TV shows. I was like scrolling like a madwoman at the end of the day. And then I really had to work with that before I left because you go into the retreat, turn your phone off, you're away from everybody for 6 days, everything, all stimulation. There's nothing there to kind of distract you. But you are very much supported in that community. So it happens, right? Like we have these create these, habit energies that come up. Like, and I was kind of panicking, like, oh my God, I'm not gonna have my phone, I'm not gonna have my shows, like, what am I gonna do? And I like went into the rabbit hole and then like slowly walked my way back out. And for, I think it was 3 or 4 days before I left, I was kind of back into, okay, I got this. But I did panic there for a while because a month of prep felt a bit overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now with the practices we just did, I know you were talking a little bit about you shouldn't necessarily just jump right into certain meditations, things like that. So between the three practices we just did, are there people who shouldn't maybe do some of those?
Yeah, great question. And, as being part of the Concussion Fix program, we bring you through all the disclaimers of like, when is
Mhm.
it helpful to meditate? When is it not helpful to meditate? What are things that you should do if you're high on that distress scale? What are things you shouldn't do? But as a quick sort of summary for the podcast, if you're feeling really dysregulated to the point that you may not, feel safe doing some of these things, you want to focus on grounding, right? So you want to just focus on those brief practices. All of the ones we did here are safe for any level of distress. You don't necessarily have to do them all together, but grounding practices focus on stabilizing our body, mind, body, and our nervous system, and those are safe for any level of distress. Things like a 20-minute seated practice or a meditation retreat are certainly not recommended, on that spectrum if you're feeling really dysregulated. What I did for you, Cam, at the start was if we're feeling panicked and we can't catch a breath, the anchor of using your breath for the practice may not feel safe in that moment. So you can choose another anchor, like your feet against the ground, your hands in your lap, or even the sensation of your body in the chair or the floor or whatever, wherever you're seated. That can be a helpful anchor when the breath is activating. So that's the most common one that comes up is the breath's making me more anxious. Okay, leave the breath, find a different anchor. That's
Mm-hmm.
also a possibility.
Perfect. Well, I think those are amazing tools that anyone can access. You can always re-listen to this podcast as many times as you need to do any of those practices. So thank you so much, Melinda. I think Cam and I have already shared, we went down, our levels definitely went down. So super, super helpful. And I think that's a great spot to wrap it up for today. So thank you for listening to the Concussion Fix podcast. Remember, recovery is possible and you're not alone. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Concussion Fix podcast. We hope you found today's episode helpful and that it gave you a little more clarity, hope, and confidence on your road to recovery. Remember, every step you take matters, no matter how small it may seem. If you feel that you could use a little more support on your healing journey, check out the Concussion Fix program. Just visit concussiondoc.io or simply type Concussion Fix into Google and read some of the reviews from people who've already walked this path. With over 3,000 success stories and an average symptom reduction of nearly 50% in just the first few weeks, it might just be the help you need to break through. Thank you again for listening. If you found value in this episode, please share it with someone you think could benefit. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a session. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay curious, and continuously remind yourself that recovery is possible.